You've probably heard it all your life: if you're kind to people, they'll respect you. Be polite, be giving, be helpful. It sounds like the perfect formula. But if you've ever noticed that the kinder you are, the less people seem to take you seriously, you're not imagining it. Psychology has found something strange: certain kind behaviors don't inspire respect at all. Instead, they train people quietly, without them even realizing it, to see you as less valuable. And once that happens, it spreads. At work, in friendships, even in family relationships, you find yourself overlooked, interrupted, or taken advantage of. It doesn't mean people are bad. It just means human brains read social signals in a way that can backfire on you. Let's walk through 5 of the most common nice behaviors that actually destroy respect. And as we go, I'll show you real-life situations where this happens, plus the psychology behind it. The first trap is apologizing for normal things. Think about this. You're at work, and you need your manager's input on something. Instead of just asking, you start with, "Sorry to bother you," or you're with a friend, and you want to ask a question, but you open with, "Sorry, this might be silly." It feels polite. But what you're really saying is, "I believe my needs are an inconvenience." And the brain of the person hearing you doesn't think, "Wow, how polite." They think, "Yeah, maybe this person's needs aren't that important." In studies, people who apologized before simple requests got slower responses, were interrupted more, and were taken less seriously. I once watched a junior employee constantly preface requests with, "Sorry." Over time, her colleagues started ignoring her emails. Not because they disliked her, but because she was training them to think her requests weren't urgent or valuable. Here's the shift: instead of apologizing, just ask, "Could you take a look at this when you have time?" That's direct and still polite. No one feels burdened. The second trap is helping without being asked. Picture this: a coworker is working on a project, and you see a way to make it easier. So you jump in, fix a few things, or redo part of their work. You think you're being helpful, but the look on their face tells a different story. They don't thank you. They look annoyed. That's because unsolicited help often feels like a judgment. Like you're saying, "I don't think you can handle this yourself." Research shows people actually interpret unasked for help as a power move. It makes them feel you're trying to show you're better. I once saw a manager constantly rescue her team members by redoing their tasks. She thought she was supporting them, but when the company did exit interviews, several employees said they left because they felt micromanaged and disrespected. The better way? Offer instead of taking over. A simple, "Want me to give you a hand," shows respect for their independence while still being kind. The third trap is avoiding conflict at all costs. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling small because someone interrupted you or brushed off your opinion, and you said nothing? You told yourself, "It's not worth it. I'll let it slide." You thought you were keeping the peace. But here's the problem: people don't see your silence as maturity. They see it as permission. And once you let someone disrespect you without speaking up, it becomes the new normal. I knew someone who gave brilliant presentations at work, but every time, his boss would interrupt mid-sentence. He laughed it off, stayed quiet, never pushed back. 6 months later, not only was he still being interrupted, his ideas were being repeated by others and credited to them. He'd trained everyone in the room that his voice didn't matter. The fix doesn't require aggression. It's as small as saying, "I'd like to finish my thought." That one line changes the power dynamic without escalating the situation. The fourth trap is being available all the time. We live in a world where people expect instant replies. Maybe you've been that person who always answers texts right away, always picks up the phone, always says yes, even when it's inconvenient. You think you're showing loyalty. But here's what people actually learn: your time isn't valuable. I once knew a manager who prided himself on being available 24/7. His phone was never off. His team constantly messaged him about things that could wait. And the one time he didn't reply instantly, they complained. Instead of respecting his sacrifice, they disrespected his boundaries. Psychologists found that people who set limits on their time were seen as more competent and more important. Why? because scarcity creates value. If your time is always on tap, people treat it as worthless. So instead of always saying yes, try, I can get to this later today, or I'll be available tomorrow morning. People will start respecting your time the moment you respect it yourself. The fifth trap is downplaying your own achievements. This one stings because it feels like humility. Someone compliments you, and you respond, "It was nothing," or "I just got lucky." You think you're being modest, but here's the truth: you're rejecting their compliment and telling them their judgment is wrong. I had a colleague who was brilliant, she carried major projects, but every time she was praised, she brushed it off. In performance reviews, her manager said she seemed insecure and not ready for advancement. Her humility backfired because it looked like she didn't believe in herself. The respectful move is to accept recognition gracefully. Say, "Thank you. I worked hard on that." That honors your effort and respects the other person's compliment. Each of these 5 behaviors looks like kindness on the surface. But underneath, they quietly tell people, "I don't think I'm valuable." And here's the kicker: people mirror back whatever value you show them. Psychologists call it perceived value alignment. If you treat yourself as small, people unconsciously agree and treat you that way too. Not because they're cruel, but because that's how human social dynamics work. So how do you fix it? Not by becoming less kind. The answer is what philosophers once called benevolent strength. It's kindness backed by self-respect. It's generosity with boundaries. Warmth with confidence. Humility without erasing yourself. Think of someone you truly respect. Chances are, they're kind. But I guarantee they don't apologize for normal requests, or say yes to everything, or brush off their own achievements. Their kindness comes from a foundation of strength. That's why it earns respect. Here's how you can start practicing it. Instead of apologizing for asking something, just ask directly. Instead of helping without permission, offer first. Instead of letting someone interrupt you, calmly finish your point. Instead of always being available, set clear boundaries. Instead of brushing off compliments, say thank you and own your effort. The trick is to start small. Psychologists call it incremental boundary setting. Pick one of these habits you catch yourself doing most. For the next week, practice the alternative response. At first, it'll feel uncomfortable, maybe even scary. But with repetition, it becomes natural. And as it becomes natural, people around you start treating you differently. The real secret is this: kindness and respect are not opposites. They're partners. But kindness without self-respect looks like weakness. And weakness doesn't earn respect. True kindness isn't about making yourself smaller. It's about creating space for others while still protecting your own. When you stop these 5 habits, you don't lose kindness, you gain respect. And your kindness becomes even more powerful because it's backed by strength.